you ever wondered how criminals can pull off a heist worth millions of dollars without getting caught? In 1990, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston was the target of one of the most significant art thefts in history, with the loss of 13 valuable pieces worth over $200 million. The daring robbery remains unsolved to this day, leaving many unanswered questions. How did the thieves manage to get away with such a massive haul? Who were they, and what was their motive? In this video, we will delve into the details of this fascinating case, examining the clues and speculating on the events leading up to and following the heist. As the early hours of the day after St. Patrick's Day dawned, Boston was still buzzing with celebration. Amidst the festivities, 2 police officers stood sentinel outside the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, the former opulent abode of the art patroness whose legacy graces the museum's name. Responding to a disturbance call from the wild revelry outside, they needed to inspect the museum. Abath and Randy Hestand, 2 inexperienced guards in their prime, welcomed them inside. Little did the museum's security guards know that they were about to become unwitting players in the greatest art heist of modern times. Once the police officers entered, one of them recognized Abath and hinted that there might be an arrest warrant out for him. Urging the young guard out from behind the security desk where the sole panic button lay, Abath complied, only to find himself shoved against the wall and handcuffed. Meanwhile, Hestand, who was on patrol, returned to the front desk, only to be immediately apprehended and forcefully restrained against the wall by the second officer. As Hestand and Abath lay subdued, one of the officers revealed their true intentions with a chilling declaration. "Gentlemen, this is a robbery." Threatening the guards with harm unless they cooperated, the thieves instructed them to follow to the basement, where they bound and blindfolded them with duct tape and confiscated their wallets. The guards were ominously warned that their lives were on the line, and if they were to inform the authorities, they would regret it. However, if they kept quiet for a year, they would be rewarded for their compliance. With no one else in the building, the thieves were aware that they had ample time to carry out their plan. However, they remained cautious, lying low for a few minutes to ensure that the real police had not been alerted. Once satisfied that they were in the clear, they sprang into action, knowing that they had the run of the entire building. They started by ascending to the second floor and seizing Rembrandt's The Storm on the Sea of Galilee and A Lady and Gentleman in Black. With brutal force, they smashed the invaluable paintings onto the floor, shattering their frames and cutting them out with a knife. In addition to the larger pieces, the thieves attempted to grab a Rembrandt self-portrait off the wall. However, this piece proved to be too cumbersome and heavy to transport. Instead, they opted for a smaller self-portrait of the artist as a young man, which hung underneath the larger painting. Moving on to their next targets, the thieves extracted Landscape with Obelisk by Rembrandt's student, Govert Flinck, and Vermeer's The Concert from their frames. Not content with solely stealing paintings, they also made off with a Chinese gu, a ritual bronze vessel dating back to the Shang and Zhou dynasties. One of the thieves continued to organize the stolen artwork, moving the items to a side door in preparation for loading their haul into a hatchback parked outside the museum. As the first thief continued to secure the stolen artwork, the second thief attempted to remove an original Napoleonic flag from its display. However, the housing proved too difficult to open, so they settled for removing the eagle finial from the top of the flagpole instead. The thieves then refocused on the artwork and carefully cut 5 sketches by French artist Edgar Degas from their frames. Their final target was Chez Tortoni by French artist Edouard Manet, which they quickly retrieved from a first-floor room. Before leaving the building, they made a stop at the security office and removed all the video cassettes that contained footage recorded by the museum's cameras. In 1990, off-site recording capabilities were still rare, and digital recording was not yet available. The greatest art heist in modern history was executed with precision and audacity. The thieves also took printouts from the motion detectors, which tracked their every move inside the building. However, they were unaware that the motion detection system also recorded directly onto a computer hard drive, leaving behind one of the few clues that the police would have to work with. Just before leaving, they checked on the guards in the basement and adjusted their restraints for comfort. At 2:45 a.m., they left the building in a car worth only a fraction of a percent of the value of the stolen items. The following morning, the next shift of guards buzzed to be let in. When there was no response, they assumed the guards inside had fallen asleep and contacted their supervisor, who arrived on the scene with a key to the museum. Upon entering the museum, the supervisor and 2 guards were taken aback to find the security desk abandoned. Their shock only intensified when they discovered that several works of art were missing. They immediately contacted the police, who conducted a thorough search of the building. Eventually, they found Abath and Hestand tied up in the basement. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that this is one of the most significant art heists in history. Initially valued at around $200 million, the stolen artwork had since appreciated in value, reaching $500 million or more by the year 2000. All of this for a heist that took the thieves less than an hour and a half to pull off. 13 pieces of art were stolen, including 2 physical artifacts, the ancient Chinese gu and the French imperial eagle finial, which once adorned one of Napoleon's flags. Among the paintings, Rembrandt's The Storm on the Sea of Galilee is valued at around $100 million. However, the most valuable piece of all is the concert by Dutch artist Johannes Vermeer, which is worth approximately $250 million today. Upon examining the stolen items and the way they were taken, the police have their first clue. The thieves knew little about art. The stolen artworks were likely damaged during the heist as the thieves smashed their frames on the ground before cutting them out, possibly rolling them up for easier transport. However, what is even more puzzling is the theft of the Degas sketches, which altogether are worth only about $100,000, a relatively small sum compared to the other stolen pieces. It became apparent that the duo were not professional art thieves, as they either overlooked or were unaware of the value of other pieces in the museum's collection. They ignored original works by Raphael, Botticelli, and Michelangelo, and they seemed to be unaware that Tiziano Vicelli's The Rape of Europa, located on the 3rd floor of the museum, was the most valuable painting in the entire city. Whoever these two were, they were likely not hired by professional art collectors and had little knowledge of art themselves. Within days, a reward of $1 million was offered for any information leading to the recovery of the stolen artwork. However, despite numerous tips, the police had little to go on. The FBI assumed control of the case because the stolen artwork would be inevitably transported across state lines, making it a federal crime. Although fingerprints were found at the scene, investigators were unable to distinguish between those of the museum employees and the thieves. Security guard Rick Abath was one of the initial suspects due to his peculiar behavior on the night of the theft. During his rounds inside the museum, Abath opened and closed a side door, which drew suspicion. He claimed that he did this to test the door's lock, but some doubted his explanation. He stated that he performed the act to verify that the door was locking properly, and that it was a routine practice for him. However, if he had been doing it regularly, the motion detectors would have documented it. And as one of Abath's colleagues claimed, a supervisor would have intervened immediately. The investigator suspected that Abath's actions of opening and closing the door were a signal to the thieves that it was safe to proceed. Additionally, the lack of any recorded motion inside the room where Chez Tortoni, one of the stolen paintings, was located further raised suspicions about Abath's involvement. Was it an inside job? The room's motion detector only recorded Abath's activity before the heist, raising suspicions that he might have absconded with the painting while his partner was oblivious at the security desk. But the FBI dismissed the guards as too inept for such a job. The spotlight then shifted to Whitey Bulger, the notorious Boston crime boss, who was fuming when he heard of the heist, not because he had an eye for art, but because it occurred in his territory, and he believed he deserved a share of the loot. The robbery occurred on Bulger's turf, and he believed he deserved a slice of the pie. In fact, he went to great lengths to uncover the culprits himself, hoping to claim what he deemed his rightful share. Would he have turned in the thieves for a piece of the official reward? It's anyone's guess. The investigator suspected that even if Bulger wasn't privy to the heist's perpetrators, certain factions within his criminal empire were. Given the Irish Republican Army's penchant for stealing art and demanding ransoms, they were on the investigator's radar as potential suspects. The plot thickens. In the lead-up to the heist, fire alarms blared in various museum rooms, yet no flames or smoke were detected. This had been a trademark tactic of the IRA in previous art heists, fueling suspicion that the culprits were linked to either the IRA or their arch rivals, the Ulster Volunteer Force. Both groups had agents operating in Boston, as the police were well aware. Adding to the intrigue, a decade prior, a notorious con man named Brian McDevitt had attempted to steal a Rembrandt from the Hyde collection in Glen Falls, New York, and he bore a striking resemblance to one of the suspected robbers. McDevitt, a known art thief, was an immediate suspect, but he vehemently denied any involvement and refused to take a lie detector test. When police analyzed his fingerprints and compared them to those found at the crime scene, they came up empty-handed. After years of mystery surrounding the unsolved heist, A breakthrough emerged when gangster Robert Guarente's widow revealed to the FBI in 2010 that her late husband had owned some of the paintings stolen from the Gardner Museum. Guarente had passed the stolen artworks to another gangster, Robert Gentile, after being diagnosed with cancer. The FBI indicted Gentile on drug charges in 2012, hoping to pressure him into revealing information about the heist. Gentile, however, vehemently denied any involvement and claimed to have no knowledge of the stolen art's whereabouts. Nevertheless, a polygraph test indicated he was lying. Despite the new lead, the Gardner Museum's stolen art has yet to be recovered. Following his arrest, the Federal Bureau of Investigation conducted a search of Gentile's residence, which led to the discovery of several incriminating pieces of evidence. Among these was a newspaper from March 1990 that contained an article regarding the art heist, indicating that Gentile may have had knowledge of the theft for a significant period of time. Additionally, agents found a handwritten list, presumably created by Gentile, detailing the potential sale prices for each of the stolen pieces on the black market. Further investigation also revealed that Gentile had constructed a small ditch concealed beneath a false floor in his backyard shed, though it was unoccupied at the time of the search. Gentile's son informed the FBI that a few years prior, the ditch had accidentally flooded, causing considerable damage to whatever had been stored there. Gentile was reportedly enraged by the incident, suggesting that the contents of the ditch held significant value. Upon questioning regarding the ditch, Gentile claimed to have no recollection of its contents, but speculated that it may have contained small motors. However, the circumstances surrounding the ditch and the evidence found in his home led to an increased suspicion regarding Gentile's involvement in the art heist. One of the suspects in the case, a small-time Boston criminal named David Gentile, was arrested and sentenced to 30 months in prison for an unrelated crime. While in jail, he was offered a plea deal by the FBI that would have reduced or possibly even eliminated his sentence if he provided information about the stolen artwork. Gentile, however, never took the FBI up on the deal, and the whereabouts of the stolen art remains a mystery to this day. Despite the lack of progress in the case, the FBI remains optimistic that the identity of the two thieves who pulled off the daring heist will eventually be uncovered. It is widely believed that both of the perpetrators have since passed away, but the agency has refused to release their names, citing the need to protect sources inside the criminal underworld. There have been several reported sightings of the stolen artwork over the years, but none have been confirmed. It is thought that the paintings may have been moved to Connecticut after they were stolen, and there was a reported attempt to sell them in Philadelphia in 2002. However, no arrests were made in connection with the incident, and the paintings remain missing to this day. Subsequently, the trail went cold. To date, none of the stolen artwork has been retrieved, and the FBI is still appealing to the public for tips on their whereabouts. The museum still displays the empty frames where the invaluable works of art once hung, while the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum is still offering a $10 million reward to anyone who can furnish information that facilitates the recovery of the lost masterpieces. The Gardner Museum heist has captured the public imagination for decades, inspiring countless books, films, and television shows. The mystery of the stolen art and the identity of the thieves who pulled off the daring heist continue to captivate art lovers and true crime enthusiasts alike. And the hope remains that one day, the missing masterpieces will be recovered and returned to their rightful owners. With that said, thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more. And if you found this content helpful, give the video a like. See you in the next video. Till then, take care.